Hello everybody, this is my natural hair as of lately. Got a little 2-strand twist going on. I feel like I needed to post a little bit. I started a new job. I am also starting another part-time job, so I have 2 part-time jobs right now. When I first started my channel, I was doing my hair, right? I was trying to grow my hair. I got these little thin edges right here. I was growing those back. And I was also doing these length checks, with my hair. And I got in the habit of blow drying my hair. And unfortunately, it ruined my curl pattern. And so I had to cut like an inch of it off because I had fried it from the blow dryer. And I couldn't keep it. It was like dead weight. And so I kind of got lax on posting because I was like, I'll be honest, I wasn't sure, how to continue. After I had cut my hair, I was like, do I focus on length now? I just kind of went back to doing my little natural styles, nothing too crazy. And just making sure I keep it washed, and making sure it doesn't have too much buildup on it. And so that became my focus. So like I said, right now, this is what I'm wearing. I'm going to show you what I look like. Because I like to wear a puff. And my puff was not puffing. You know what I'm saying? It was not puffing at all. I don't know what that was. I'm going to put that here. And so this channel has been interesting because I've had a lot of changes in my life, and something that I've been focusing on with God is doing what he tells me to do. Doing what he tells me to do.
Thank you! Yes! What did I tell you?
I was, brainstorming about the story of Adam and Eve, right? And she's in the garden. Sarah Jakes always would say, she had one job. She had one job. And I'm like, really? The way Eve was functioning wasn't terrible. It was more so, it was the fact that she got bored.
I'm bored. I want to be entertained.
And I feel like, I know I've been in that place where I'm just like, when is something gonna happen? I've eaten the same thing, every day, or I've gotten in the same little routine. And even though, yes, it's great, I'm bored. And it may not be the aesthetically pleasing thing to say. That's the human thing to say, though, is that we get bored. Even when it's good, we get bored. And Eve got bored. And so, yeah, she manipulated her husband. She, was doing stuff she ain't had no business doing because she was bored. And she made a conscious decision to do what she did. She made a conscious decision to do what God told her absolutely not to do. That's where she went wrong. Whether she agreed with what God had to say doesn't matter. And that's been really difficult. I don't necessarily agree with this season in my life, having 2 part-time jobs. But at the same time, I'm doing it anyway because I feel like that's what God told me to do. I stopped blow drying the mess out of my hair and trying to build this hair, thing, because I don't really know if that was if it's hurting me, you know what I'm saying? If what I'm doing and being so committed to this is not the best thing, then I have to figure out what's the right way to go about it. And I haven't really got a whole lot of direction from God about this, so I haven't done it. I'm still sticking to my routine, don't get me wrong. But sticking to my routine has been most important, not necessarily trying to please other people and present and perform for other people. That has been interesting. Because when I was doing it, I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. Trying to stick to some schedule. And it's just I think God would have preferred if I just, did what he told me to do. And it's so funny because in regards to the channel, I'm like, what did he tell me to do? I almost forgot. You know what I'm saying? It's it's so easy to get into your own rhythm when it comes to certain things. And another story that God has had me like looking into is like Sarah and Abraham. And when Sarah decided, like where Sarah went wrong and where Abraham went wrong was when they didn't believe what God had told them. And they held a woman against her will. Like you can say like, oh, at that time you could have a slave. The reality is Hagar was a slave. And she was a woman that did not have autonomy in regards to her own body. She was a woman that was forced to have a baby with somebody she didn't like. She was a woman that was treated as less than, and it truly affected her. Like Sarah was so irritated with Hagar that if the woman smiled, if her child was a little bit too comfortable, she ready to throw the woman in the desert.
Oh, God.
Like, and this is a situation that Sarah chose and created on her own. But yet, when the woman breathed wrong, when the woman just breathes, period, she got a problem with it. And that's a hard existence to live where, like, you just being you is just a problem, you know? And none of that, any perception that was of Hagar, it was just like, I don't like her. I don't like this. And they literally threw her in the desert to die, her and that baby. Whereas if this was her child, she would have never done that to her own child. But she did that to Hagar, and she did that to Hagar's child. And so when you don't believe what God has to say, this is what I got from it. When you don't believe what God has to say about you, you actually end up hurting other people. Because you bring them into your delusion. You bring them into your secret plan of how you're going to go about and get this and that and third. And so I kind of feel like I had to reevaluate. I had some things happen with some other people that made me kind of like, you know, lose my focus a little bit. And I wanted to, you know, kind of like present myself again, you know. Maybe I need to like present myself to the front one more time. My name is Kayla Briggs. I like to go by Kayla Veronica because that's my middle name. My name is Kayla Veronica. And I am a former teacher, a former science teacher, and I love science. In my first few videos, I was posting about just different things that I read in articles. I was really like interested in alopecia and how it affects your hair follicle and things like that. What vitamins are missing from your system in order to kind of like affect you progressing or your alopecia progressing. Like I was just so into that. So I was reading a lot of literature about that. And so I just, you know, given what I was reading, I came up with, you know, my own product, and it ended up working for me, i.e. for me. And I created it, you know, to see if other people would enjoy it. But one woman just argued me down, honey.
Quiet. Quiet.
If we could
Quiet.
just get back to May 1.
Argued me down. You think we all stupid? It's like, girl, I don't think you're stupid. I'm just telling you this is what I've learned. This is what has helped me, and I would love to share it with you. So what I learned when I was in undergrad is that anytime you have a new discovery in science, it takes about 7 to 10 years for that science to be kind of like incorporated into the everyday, you know, the everyday practice in a hospital. So you're talking about basically 10 years go by before that new discovery is even like utilized. So for me, I love to read up-to-date articles and kind of like create products around those up-to-date articles, you know. And so the first one that I created was the hair oil that had traces of zinc in it to kind of like stimulate the follicle and reduce the chances of the chemical that's associated to alopecia or just a lack of hair growth, like basically like keeping that hormone away so that you can kind of retain length. Like that was like my view of it at the time. So it's still on my website. I'm still working on my website and everything and other products that I want to create. But as of right now, I've moved on to a different product. I still use my hair oil on my hair, on my ends, you know. So my hair is still relatively healthy. I just had to cut an inch off. So I'm trying to regrow that inch of hair. And so I haven't been like doing a lot of styles and flat ironing and doing all that type of stuff. I've just been kind of doing stuff like this, you know, something real easy to the point, getting out the house so I can go to work. And, you know, that's really where I've been, you know. And so I'm transitioning, kind of putting my focus on a different product. I want to help those that have herpes, HSV1. So I'm in the process of making a product that I think would be effective for people that have HSV1 expressed on their face, so like a cold sore, or HSV1 where they just feel like they're more susceptible to BV, bacterial vaginosis, and yeast infections. So basically, like, they have HSV1, they have herpes, and it affects their microbiome down there. And it, you know, because it can affect your immune system, which makes you more susceptible to those types of infections. So if you know someone that's interested in participating in a focus group, I could send them the product for free. I'm also making an app to go along with it so you can document your symptoms, document how often you have flare-ups, how often you feel those like tingling sensations down there, or just any sensations, and maybe you want to talk to your doctor about that. Maybe you just want to know for yourself, to know, like, is there something that I'm doing that's triggering these flare-ups? Like, whatever you need to make more, you know, educated decisions about yourself, that's really what the app is for. So you can click the link in my bio. You'll have all my information there. You can send me an email and let me know if you're interested, and then I'll get your address from you and everything, and then we can go from there. But, you know, I guess I want everyone to be encouraged, you know, in regards to your journey. That's what I'm doing. You know, do what God tells you to do. Don't feel like you owe people like an explanation all the time. You know, if it's what God told you to do, then just do that, you know. But again, my name is Kayla Veronica, honey. And I'll see y'all next week, you know, or just whenever I see you. You know what I'm saying? I love y'all. Bye.